What's going on? This is RJ Game News USA here, back today with another video. We're going to react to Smash JT's video. His title is Breaking Trump's 25% Tariff Bombshell Skyrockets Nintendo Switch 2 Prices. So, we're going to see what Smash JT is talking about here, and we're going to react to it. I have not watched the video beforehand, but anyway, if you like this kind of content, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's do this react. We're just going to listen to the audio and react to what the hell is going on with Trump and these tariffs and what it means for the Switch 2.
This comes to us from a few different sources. This one first, Vice Baron said, breaking. Trump announces 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea. This is new. This just happened today. This is July 7th.
Okay. Alright. So, full disclosure, I voted for him. Okay? Look, be a Democrat on this channel. You can be a Republican on this channel. I try to keep it 100. Alright? I'm not a fan of these tariffs. Just off the bat, I'm not a fan of having video game prices being artificially raised when they're already being artificially raised by greedy CEOs. So that's my initial reaction. When I hear about tariffs on Japan, I instantly don't like that.
2025. And people who are into gaming aren't going to be huge fans of what this means for repercussions when it comes to Switch 2 specifically. Pirate Nation on X. Trump set 25% tariff on Japanese imports to U.S. effective August 1st. Nintendo Switch games imported from Japan will cost 25% more if tariff persists. So this should be something that concerns anyone that is in the market for a Switch 2 or owns a Switch 2, because they've already raised the price of games to $80 per game in some cases, especially Mario Kart World.
That's not true. Yes, only Mario Kart World is $80. Everybody likes to say all the games are 80. They're 70. So let's just get that misinformation out of the way.
And now a 25% tariff on top of that would push these games over $100.
I don't believe that. I don't believe because of the tariff games that go into $100. I believe the games will stay at 70. I really do. Even with the tariff in place. I do think, however, accessories are going to go up. Maybe even the console.
If this persists and is real. This story comes to us from the Associated Press. It says, Washington.
Because here's the deal. They could make digital cheaper if they wanted. See, a lot of these companies really fuck it up because they say they want to go all digital, but they keep digital games the same price as physical games. They literally can charge less for digital because you're not paying for a cart. They can literally charge less for keycard games because you're not paying for a cart. Not a real one, anyway.
Says Washington, President Donald Trump on Monday set a 25% tax on goods imported from Japan and South Korea, as well as a new tariff rates on a dozen other nations that would go into effect on August 1st. This, like I said, breaking news and is a very real thing. Like, not one of those, oh, they might do it or he threatened it. Like, he put it into effect for August 1st. So this...
I think, in general, we need to... I don't want to get too political here, but in general, the president gets to call too many shots. Like, where the fuck is Congress in this? Like, I'm against the war going on with Israel and or dealing with Iran, and just like I am with helping Ukraine against Russia. I'm an isolationist. I'm a non-interventionist. So I didn't like when Biden went to war. I don't like when Trump goes to war. I just don't like war. And I don't like tariffs raising the cost of gaming, possibly. It's all stupid and unnecessary. It just is. Nobody's been able to properly explain to me why raising tariffs on Japan is a good thing. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I hear, well, oh, it creates jobs, creates jobs. I have a job, motherfucker. I just want to pay for the shit that, is decently priced.
This will, assuming nothing changing, will affect the price of Nintendo Switch games. This is a very big deal. Trump provided notice by posting letters on Truth Social that were addressed to the leaders of various countries. Letters warned them to not retaliate by increasing their own import taxes, or else the Trump administration would further increase tariffs. If for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added onto the 25% that we charge, Trump wrote in letter.
Why are we doing this? Honestly, why are we giving them a 25% tariff? This is beyond dumb. Like, games are going to cost, they could cost $100, like Smash JT said. Again, I have some doubts about Nintendo just flatly raising whatever the tariff price is to that. It would be such a bad look. But we've seen these greedy companies just mostly pass the cost right off to the consumers.
That is to Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. Letters were not the final word from Trump on tariffs, so much as another episode in the global economic drama in which he has placed himself at the center. His moves have raised fears that economic growth would slow to a trickle, if not make the U.S. and other nations more vulnerable to a recession, which, by the way, is very true if they do raise their taxes and they do call Trump's bluff and Trump just fights back and adds more to it. Yes, that's a very real outcome that could happen from all of this. But what
Yeah, I'm not very pleased with people in power who want to just leverage our economic security and our purchasing power on a bluff, hoping they don't retaliate. I don't really think that's a great idea.
This happened historically when Trump threatened these before, is that all the countries backed down, conceded, and gave Trump what he wanted. And Trump might be feeling like he's going to be able to do that again right now. And the concern is still there that it won't work this time. And we have writers at the Associated Press that have Trump derangement syndrome taking the angle of, yeah, it probably won't work, and more economic growth slowing and more vulnerable to a recession. But Trump is confident that tariffs...
It might work. Obviously, people that are anti-Trump will assume it doesn't. And people that are pro-Trump will assume it will. However, whether or not it works obviously is a big deal and will be the outcome of the situation. But even attempting it is where I find it to be silly. What is the point of this? What is the actual point of the tariff onto Japan? Specifically, why are we targeting a country that is providing us video games? Like, seriously. It is directly affecting the industry that I cover.
And more vulnerable to a recession. But Trump is confident that tariffs are necessary to bring back domestic manufacturing and fund the tax cuts he signed into law last Friday. He mixed his sense of aggression with a willingness to still negotiate, signaling that the likelihood that the drama and uncertainty would continue and that few things are ever final with Trump. Now, what I did see in relation to this is kind of quasi-related, but not necessarily directly related, is Nintendo is potentially reevaluating how they make games. Because the tariffs, if this goes into effect, would completely destroy their company. Because ain't no one spent...
Okay, it's not going to destroy the company. Like, even if these tariffs go through, There may be a slight rocky issue here and there, but Nintendo's going to be just fine.
And $100+ on Mario and Zelda games.
I will.
Some people are, but not.
I'll spend $100+ on new Switch 2 games. But will I be happy about it? No. No, not really. And I'm sure if you still like those games, you're going to. So.
Not enough people to continue selling record-breaking profits and making enough games to keep up with people. This would be devastating if it went into effect. So I saw this from Pirate Nation. And again, not a direct retaliation, but the timing is curious. Nintendo plans to explore shorter game development cycles to counter rising costs. They're also investing in their teams to preserve traditional game-making methods.
So, Nintendo's sort of already been doing this. Their development cycles are a lot shorter for a lot of their games than their competitors. But if you're going to do shorter development cycles, that means either what's going to happen is they're going to have larger teams focusing on less projects, which means less games. It also means what they could do is they're lowering the cost of the budget of a game, which means less pretty looking games, less detailed games. You could see a combination of both. In either case, I don't think it really solves the tariff problem, though. The tariff problem is a whole other can of worms. Oops, hold up.
Says Nintendo combats big budgets with games that only need shorter development periods alongside $80 Switch 2 behemoths like Mario Kart World. Now, this story originally came out on July 4th, which is why I say it's not a direct retaliation to the story today of the 25% tariffs going, but it does.
Well, Nintendo has done it, even on the Switch 1, if you look. They've had, they have these big, giant releases, and then sometimes they have these smaller titles already. I don't feel it's too much of a shift in their plans.
Make you wonder if Nintendo knew that this is the direction that it was going, so they started talking about maybe changing how they go about the development process with their games. The only difference being is if the 25% tariff persists, then I don't think it's going to be alongside $80 games, because again, nobody's going to be spending $105, $110 plus dollars plus tax on games USD. That's going to be in California. You're talking $125 out the door to buy a Switch 2 game.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell. Like I would probably buy it, or the next Zelda game, and maybe even the next Mario game if it's on par with the previous ones.
Right.
But outside of that, nope. Like, maybe a Pikmin 5 type thing, maybe, because I really like those games. But it's very slim pickings, and that's a lot of money to be asking. And that's me just saying, yeah, I probably would. But when rubber hits the road and you go to the store to actually buy it, would you actually spend that much on it? That's a lot.
That's a really tough question. Like, just imagine, like, if Donkey Kong Bonanza is like $100, would I actually drop the hundy on it? I don't know. I don't know. But would I drop the hundy for a new 3D Mario? Yeah. Would I have dropped a hundy for Mario Kart World? Yeah. New Zelda? Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to have to see where these tariffs go. We're going to have to see how this all plays out. I'm tired of the tariffs rocking the gaming world. Like, literally, just stop doing the fucking tariffs. Let these companies put out their games. And honestly, digital games just need to be cheaper in general. like, you should just minus the cost of the card. Like, seriously. Like, that would be a way to embrace the all-digital future. If all digital means cheaper. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. I'm done reacting to this video. Check it out. It's Smash JT's video. He's a pretty good YouTuber. So, again, thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all later.